this is going to be, we're just going to wrap for, 15, 20 minutes, 10, 15, it doesn't have to be long. This is like a testimonial video for Rythmia, and what they're doing there. We're really aiming this to the people who feel kind of called to the medicine, but don't know how to do it, versus trying to get people to go. It's for those people that are kind of curious about it, and they can tap in and listen to other people that have done it and hear their experiences. So being a travel writer, this was part of my work with them, was to come in, experience the resort, and then write about it. But because it's so unique what they do, it's built for a video testimonial, right?
Yeah.
And so people will resonate. Well, they'll see you, hear your story. What we'd like to do is really answer what was life like before, what was your experience like during, and then what shift have you sensed after. Cool. So we don't do any kind of promotional thing. I think that's kind of the beautiful thing about ayahuasca is it's not promotional. It's more attraction. So yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Any questions?
How
you feel?
Yeah, I don't think so.
You're a guy that gets asked a lot of questions, so, and I know you like to talk, so I know that about you, so you're going to do great. Cool. Let's jump in. Hey, Robin Reed here, and I am pleased to be with the wonderful Mr. Nathaniel. Nathaniel, you live in New York, correct?
Actually, I'm moving to New York. I spent the last month there. So all the things you've been seeing on Instagram or Facebook coming from New York. I went there a couple weeks after Rythmia.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I got it. You are, how old are you?
33.
33. All right. And no children? No, I think
no children.
Yeah, I didn't think you were a dad. And so Nathan and I attended Rythmia together in August, and that's when we met, and just such a privilege to get to know him and who he is and his character. I know that, Nathan, you're a big believer in spiritual development, personal development, connection with God. You just have some real poetical ways that you explain that connection. Tell me, when it comes to, Rythmia, why did you decide to go? Like, was it calling you? What was life like before? Tell me what was happening there for you.
Well, I actually found out about Rythmia through my connection with my friend Gordon, the creator of Spirit Science. So I had attended Rythmia upon his invitation.
Okay. So
that was just a really neat way to come about Rythmia by such a good friend of mine who I've been friends with since 2012. So it's been a long time, and it's been a long time since we've seen each other in the flesh. So he invited me to Costa Rica, and he had me at Costa Rica. I didn't even know about Rythmia. He had me at Costa Rica.
Yeah.
So I was excited to go, and then experiencing Rythmia. I mean, you can kind of get in your mind what you think is going to happen in Costa Rica, but it's hard to prepare for what's going to happen at Rythmia. So,
it's like a vortex inside of a vortex.
Yeah, I'm so glad I accepted his invitation because it really it did a number on me.
Mm-hmm. I love it. And so, a friend invited you. What was your experience when you arrived at the resort? What stood out for you? Obviously, people have talked about the food and the staff, and I definitely want to hear about your experience with ceremony. How'd that all come about for you?
Well, I would have to. The first thing that came to mind is that it didn't start at the resort. It started not even at the airport, but with the email correspondence that you get from the staff and from the crew beforehand. and the messages that you watch that are personally crafted. So your experience, you start to salivate, if you will, for the experience because of all of the interaction beforehand, which is really amazing. And then it starts at the airport um, when I was picked up by the most cheerful person and had an amazing conversation the entire way there. And I felt like it was my cousin picking me up. And then you get there and then, man, you just bombarded with 1,000 of those people. You know, it's like everyone's got such a great service oriented, humble, there's just no ego, and everyone's just there to support you. And it's just amazing. Absolutely amazing. The attention to detail is really, 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 really nice.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that you said that. Other people have used the words like intentional. You know, it's a very intentional experience. Like everything is designed for you to have this experience. Talk to me about ceremony. I had a really comforting experience there with ceremony with you and your kind of band of brothers that were there. There was about 4 or 5 of y'all, and y'all were just such a cool collective group of young men that just seemed to just kind of drift through, you know, the ceremony place. What was ceremony like for you, and did you walk away with any big, you know, takeaways or healings?
Um, Ceremony was awesome, and each night was a different experience.
Mm.
Some The first night was a kind of like a, what do they call it, a nil, a nothing, a nada.
Mm-hmm.
And the second night, kind of the same thing, only looking back on it, I'm like, wait, it can't be because of this and this and this. Like, you know, ayahuasca told me that it was going to be nothing. Um, and I was sitting there talking with this voice in my head who was telling me I'm not going to have an experience. And I'm like, well, what are you talking about? I'm having an experience right now. And she's like, no, you're not. You know, so like my trip was about not having a trip. I was like dialoguing with myself so deep about
Yeah.
whether or not I was even experiencing anything at all,
Okay.
which in itself was kind of a really great place to go about what experience is. And so I thought it was a nothing, but it really wasn't a nothing. Or
Yeah.
actually, it was a nothing, but the nothing was something in itself.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. It there's the rabbit trails of the mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So we do.
right on the surface of nothingness, but right beneath the surface. So it was just a hair removed.
Mhm.
And then, you know, the presence of the shamans, um, the smoke and the plants and the music. Just being in Costa Rica, the thunderstorms in the distance. Oh my God, seeing the rift of the Milky Way, like literally seeing it like you see in the movies, and just knowing that that's what you're under, and that these ancient traditions. I mean, you really feel like the time could be 3,000 years ago. It could be 5,000 years from today, and it's still going to be the same spirit moving in the earth like that. It was like, and to be connected to it.
Yeah.
Oh wow. And just the precious honor to be with these people that are carrying on that tradition, that someone's devoted their life to be a lamp to house that flame, like, and then to be in the same building as those lamps. Ah, I got goosebumps. I got goosebumps picturing the rattling on the ankles and the shadowy moving figures of feathers and ah, man, it's something. It's amazing.
Yeah. 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 You're. I like the way you describe it. It was deeply reverent experience for just about everybody I speak to. Um, how were you? Something that they talk about quite a bit is the show me who I've been, right? Show me who I've become, right? So you can kind of see that truth of who you are,
Mm-hmm.
which originates from that splitting off moment where we decide to abandon our true self and become this other person. Heal my heart, merge me back to my soul at all costs. Where did you, give me my miracle? What did you experience in any of that? Did you experience healings in, what was your experience as far as what you got from the ceremonies themselves?
Um, you know, and I'm slightly ashamed because if anyone should believe in miracles, it's me. But it was kind of for this reason that my attitude about it all came about. See, I kind of came in thinking this is for people who need miracles. I don't need miracles.
Uh-huh.
Like my life, I mean, it doesn't even, it shouldn't be able to be happening. And my life is miracle upon miracle as I see it. And I've already had like my moment. So I didn't feel like one that I needed one as some kind of catalyst for something. And then secondly, I felt like I didn't deserve to be able to ask for more. That I've been content with what I've been given. Kind of goes back to the post that you made the other day. Can you be content and still want more? Was that you?
Yeah. 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 Can that happen? How does that,
Yeah.
is that a dichotomy?
So that's kind of like the struggle that I was going through is like, like, is it kind of like beyond me to go and ask for more than what I've been given? Like, would that be some a discontentment or whatever? So I really didn't go in with with an intention of like looking for something or asking for something specific.
Mm.
But upon arrival and before the first night of the ceremony, before that happened, in like a rush, it was like someone rushing to pack their bags. I rushed to get something in order to try to find something like, well, just in case, maybe this is the thing that I can go after, like, maybe this is the thing. And it was, an interpersonal, situation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I asked for, split second spur, and that's what I got. It was what I was shown, and um yeah, to show me who I've been, merge me with my soul at all costs. Like I was like, oh my goodness, it was like going back and reading the your own autobiography in a way,
Mm-hmm.
and being able to see it as it is, not as we choose to see it. Like, because when we go back with our minds, we skip so much, and we skip the things that we don't want to remember, and then the ego protects us from things that we can't recall about ourselves and still live with ourselves in every waking moment, and so that we don't, you know what I mean? So like it
Yeah.
hides all this, and it's kind of like that someone's coming over, so you're just shoving stuff into corners, into under beds and under carpets. And
Yeah.
then ta-da, here's my memory, this is my life. But no, like it shows you what's on every page.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh yeah, this is who I really am. And then it's kind of like, oh man. And then now you have a clear picture of what you've got to get your hands around. So now you're not wrestling a bear in the dark thinking it's a puppy. Now you see what you're dealing with. And man, it showed me what I'm dealing with. The self that I am, the me who I've become, and how I got there, which means it's kind of like, oh my God, it's kind of like you're dealing with this big knot, this big tangled knot. And that's what our lives sometimes become. I know mine was just this big ball of
Yeah.
mess. But it showed move by move how it became that, which means it's showing you the answer on how to undo it.
Mm.
So it move by move can help you reverse that knot. And now you're not frustratingly making the knot worse or pulling where you should be letting loose.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of it showed me within myself a map on how to get out of like the prison that I've created in situationally, just everything. Like,
Yeah.
energetically, emotionally, mentally, impossible. It's just,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
I mean, it would take not a therapist couldn't even do it, because it would take that therapist to live your life for you.
Hmm. To
Is
understand,
to understand.
to understand the framework.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
The wiring.
so it's impossible. So it's kind of like the ayahuasca comes in and it like synthesizes and, you know, like just alchemizes you, and then it's like, oh, I know you, and then it shows you it's like, you know, you're me, and then
Mhm.
and now it's like you're just talking to a mirror version of yourself or something.
Yeah. That's well said. That's well said. I think you're my sixth person that I've interviewed so far, and each of you explains a very similar experience in a highly unique way. And I think that's what we're gaining from this ceremony or this modality of healing or of personal development is that process of um, oneness. Like how are we getting back to that consciousness that had escaped us when something happened as kids, or the traumas or that we went through, or the addictions that we suffer from. And so I like the way you put it. Since you've left, what has reintegration been like for you? What's life like been after? Have you seen any after effects? Anything that's stuck with you, or things you've been able to apply?
Um, you know, it's the weirdest thing, but it's kind of come to me in the form of a dream, which is turned into like a poem, which is turning into like a short story,
Mm-hmm.
but it's in German, and it's the weirdest thing. And so I have this, you know, David Attenborough sounding gentleman speaking German in my head, telling me this story that is just ridiculous. And so, yeah, what do you do with that?
Okay. Um, okay. Wow, that sounds fantastic.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm a writer, so it
that's my,
sounds interesting to me. I would say write that down. What are you going to do with it?
yeah, I've been writing it down, and
Yeah.
it's just pretty interesting, you know.
What do
And
you make of it? Do you think it's a connection to some part of yourself that maybe you turned off as a child, or
um,
is it heritage related?
you know, well, I'm not German. I don't have any German in my family.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, I had this really strange dream when I was a child, and it involved four fountains, or sorry, like a four-tiered fountain.
Mm-hmm.
And this dream, this kind of like vision, this experience, is about four cups, um, each one increasingly larger than the next. You know, like the four-tiered fountain.
Mm-hmm.
Only each tier has been taken off from one another, obviously, and now they're cups and not tiers in a fountain. So I've made the connection with that. I believe it's a continuation of that. Um, but it's just it started that night, the third night of ceremony at Rythmia. And I had wandered outside, and I was laying down in the grass, and I was looking up at the stars, and you know, I was just like, I don't know where exactly I was in my mind, but I remember at some point thinking, like, does anybody even know that I'm like here right now? Like, does like, is this even um, being recorded? Like, will this just go away and fade to nothingness, kind of thing? And so then the dream was kind of like the answer, and I
Wow.
was myself from an observer's perspective, high above me in the sky, looking down at me and listening to myself wonder if I would be remembered or even noticed.
Mm.
And then the reply came, in der Nacht unter den Sternen, als das Feuer in der Höhle meiner Herz glühte. Gott komm mit mir und wir standen Angesicht zu Angesicht. Sein Gesicht war unsichtbar und mein Gesicht war sichtbar und glebt wie Gold. And it just went on and on and on, and it was just like, so
And,
there.
time out. Is that German?
Yeah.
So you speak German?
What this man sang in my head, in the poem.
Well, hold on. Time out. Are you putting me together? Because you don't speak German, but yet you can repeat this German language in your head the way you're hearing it. That's highly unique.
I know this sounds. I know this sounds ridiculous.
Not at all. I think it sounds for the guy that doesn't recognize miracles often, or maybe he doesn't need miracles because his life is a miracle. What you just did was kind of miraculous. You don't speak German, but you were able to perfectly, I'm assuming perfectly, just restate the German voice in your head.
Yeah, and
that's pretty cool.
I can't be so bold as to say that my German is perfect, but I have told it to native German speakers. One woman in particular named Birgit, and she was just like, "Where's this from? Who wrote this? Like, this was the most profound German I've ever heard." She said that it's the structure is so complicated. Grammatically, it's not from this time, but it's kind of like she's. And wow. I don't know anything about German conjugation or how to, structure German vernacular and stuff like that. But it's just it's crazy. It's just really interesting. My favorite thing that I've learned. My favorite thing that I think
is awesome.
Die Wasser der Schöpfung der Urflüssigkeit der Gebärmutter, which means the waters of creation, the clock fluid engine. The Wasser der Schöpfung is the water of creation. Der Urflüssigkeit der Gebärmutter, the kind of like the protoplasm, the primal fluid of the clock encoder engine, which is talking about DNA.
Wow.
And
you got to chase that down, brother. You got to see what that's about. That's a gift. That's a miracle. That's fantastic.
I've been writing it, and as I'm writing it, like it just the ideas come to mind, and I'm like, man, this is gonna be I want to make like a little independent film out of it. I want to go back to Rythmia and see if I can just re-record me rolling around in the grass or something like that. Tape that sky, the fire, and this guy who comes up to me and starts talking to me. He's got no face. It's like the whole universe is in his face. It's just wow.
Wow. Okay, that's man, that kind of takes my breath away. That is really phenomenal. All right, so in the interest of time, tell us this. What's next for you? Like, where do you go from here? You're going to go back to Rythmia?
I definitely want to go back to Rythmia. Right now, I have an art show in Miami, Art Basel, which is going to be December. And then directly after that show, I'm already packed up and ready to go. Going up to New York. So I'm moving up to New York City. I wasn't going to be doing that in November, but because I got accepted to Art Basel, I'm going to be doing it in December instead.
Yeah, I love it. So what's it kind of in conclusion here to kind of wrap up? What would you say to anyone considering going? What would you say to them but you can kind of pull from your own experience, your own story. What would you like for them to know?
Oh, wow. It is impossible to describe what you don't know. And that's why you have to go and experience it for yourself, because I still don't know what happened there, because it's still happening. It's so amazing, and each experience is so unique. I can only say that it's unlike anything I've ever experienced anywhere else, and it's unlike anywhere that I've experienced in any way else. It's if you've heard about it, if you feel called to go, you will be eternally indebted to yourself for doing it, because it's no matter where you are or where you're going, it is the right next stop along your journey. It's the right move to make. I can say that. I would not just go around throwing that out there, because, you know, I don't want to be responsible for someone else's dharma or karma, you know, but I could say wholeheartedly that I recommend it to every single person who's come across my path that's looking for these deeper answers, a bigger picture, finding out something, getting over something, getting through something, getting to something. It's the right spot. It's amazing. It's amazing how the same tool works for everybody.
Nathaniel, you're awesome. Thank you so much for joining us here and just sharing your experience. I think this is a huge work. And when Rythmia asked me to do this, I was not just yes, I was like, hell yes. And ever since I've done it, I've just met the most amazing people, yourself included. And to be able to come back and meet with, you know, a choice few and hear a recap of their experience just really deepens it for me and many others that will do this. So thanks for lending your authenticity to us and being so vulnerable to
Thank you so much.
What's happening. Yeah, I love it.
Your face, man.
I love it, Bud. All right, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, brother. Much love.